I wanted to say a few words today about the narcissist's manipulation tactics. And there are probably too many to mention in one video, but there are just a couple of tips that I wanted to highlight for you. These being particular tips that can be particularly deceptive if one doesn't understand how the narcissistic mind works, or if you haven't experienced narcissism before. And one of the things that can happen in relationship with a narcissist, if you're not aware of what is happening, is that they can manipulate the situation when they are confronted so that they become the victim. And I've experienced this a number of times, and it's almost a good idea to be prepared that this could happen so that you're not thrown off balance with these people. So often what will happen is that they've done something in the relationship that requires that you confront them about this issue. But in order to distract you from what they are doing and to also take the blame away from themselves, they will often project the guilt onto the victim. And this happens in two ways. First of all, they will distract the victim by blaming her or him for whatever has happened, which then means the victim is trying to work out whether it is actually their fault or not. And the other way that it will work also is with other people. In other words, a narcissist will often speak to other people and portray you as the abuser or the aggressor in the situation, so that the blame and the attention is taken off of them. And when this has happened to people, they are often left confused and unable to know what to do. But when you clarify the situation with yourself and you can see what is happening and what they are doing, and when you understand why they are doing that, in other words, so that none of the blame comes their way and the facade is maintained by blaming someone else, and someone else then becomes the scapegoat for what they have done. So it's very much about lying. It's a pattern with narcissists that they very often will lie in order to cover their own back, but also in order to protect the facade, because the facade is supporting the false self, and therefore they will do often whatever it takes in order to protect that facade, because if that facade is to break down, they will often lose their position in a relationship or in a community, say. And so this is a tactic, it's a defense in order to distract people from what they have done and often to blame someone else. And this one tip alone, if you're aware of what is happening beforehand, can help us to protect ourselves in these situations, and also to enable us to protect our sense of self, so that we don't begin to question our own knowing. Because often another manipulation tactic by a narcissist is rewriting the past in a way where they come out on top or where they come out as the victim. So often they will say something like, I've had narcissists say something like, do you remember when so-and-so happened in the past? And you know full well that that thing didn't happen. You have absolutely no recollection of it at all. And yet, they have planted that seed of doubt in your mind, because then you're stuck, because you have either to make the decision that this person is lying to you and messing with your head, or you have to accept the fantasy that they are trying to sell you. In other words, they're trying to mess with your mind and get you to doubt your own knowing. And if that becomes a pattern that one continues to accept lies and falsity that someone else is giving them, they start to become brainwashed, and they start to automatically doubt their own perception, and therefore their identity is messed with, and in future they will automatically become accepting of what this person is saying to them. And in that way, of course, the other person, the abuser, actually starts to get control of the thinking of the other person. And they start to get control of their minds and also of their identity. And so that's just a couple of tips to highlight just how manipulative some people can be in order to gain control of the other person, and also in order to maintain their facade of being the better one, the sane one, the one who is ultimately in control, which narcissists really like. This is one of the prime behaviors of narcissism, is the need to have control. So I hope that helps, and as always, stay safe and happy. Bye bye.